In the bustling village of Ibadan, nestled in the heart of Nigeria, there lived a humble family named the Adebayos. The head of the family, Baba Adebayo, was a kind-hearted man who worked tirelessly in the fields, while his wife, Mama Adebayo, was known for her gentle nature and nurturing spirit. They had three children: Ayo, the eldest son, with a sharp mind and a kind heart; Folake, the ever-curious middle child; and little today, whose laughter could light up the darkest of days. Life in Ibadan was not easy for the Adebayos. The harvest had been poor for several years, and the family often went to bed with empty stomach. Despite their struggles, they remained close-knit, drawing strength from one another and their unwavering faith. One fateful afternoon, while Ayo was wandering through a dense forest near their village, he stumbled upon something extraordinary. Hidden beneath a thick layer of moss and vine was an ancient, intricately designed clay pot. The pot was adorned with carvings of animals and mystical symbols that seemed to glow faintly in the dappled sunlight. Curious, Ayo picked up the pot and carried it back to his family. As he entered their modest home, Mama Adebayo looked up from her sewing and smiled. "What have you found, Ayo?" "It is a pot, Mama," Ayo replied, placing it on the table. "I found it in the forest. It looked special." Baba Adebayo, returning from the fields, joined them and examined the pot closely. "It is indeed a remarkable find," he said, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. "But what use is an old pot when we have no food to put in it?" Just as he finished speaking, the pot began to emit a soft golden glow. The family watched in awe as the pot magically filled itself with a streaming, delicious meals. There was enough food for everyone, and the aroma filled the room, making their mouth water. The Adebayos could hardly believe their eyes. "It must be a gift from the gods," Mama Adebayo whispered, tears of joy streaming down her face. That night, they feasted like never before. There was jollof rice, succulent chicken, sweet plantain, and all their favorite dishes. As they ate, they marveled at their good fortune and thanked the heavens for this miraculous gift. The next morning, the Adebayo gathered around the pot, wondering if the miracle would repeat itself. To their delight, as soon as they expressed their hunger, the pot once again filled with sumptuous meal. Day after day, the pot provided them with an abundance of food, and word of their good fortune soon spread throughout Ibadan. The villagers were amazed at the Adebayo's miraculous pot and often come to witness its magic. Some brought offering, hoping to share in the blessing, while others sought the family's advice on various matters, believing them to be favored by the gods. The Adebayos, now well-fed and content, began to share their bounty with the less fortunate in the village. Baba Adebayo would often say, "This gift is not just for us. We must share our blessings with others." For a time, the village of Ibadan flourished. The once hungry villagers now had enough to eat, and the sense of community grew stronger as everyone looked out for one another. The Adebayos were admired and respected, not just for their magical pot, but for their generosity and kindness. However, as the days turned into weeks, the initial sense of wonder and gratitude began to wane. The Adebayos, who had once been humble and selfless, started to change. The constant flow of food made them complacent, and they began to take the magic pot for granted. Ayo, who had once been content with the simple pleasures of life, now dreamed of greater things. "We could sell the food in the market," he suggested one evening. "Imagine how much money we could make." Folake too had become more ambitious. "We should keep more for ourselves," she said. "Why should we give away so much when we could have even more?" Even Baba and Mama Adebayo, who had always been the pillar of wisdom and virtue, found themselves swayed by their children's argument. Perhaps they are right. Baba Adebayo must. We have been generous, but we must also think of our future. And so the Adebayo attitude towards the magic pot began to change. They started to hoard the food, sharing less with their neighbors and keeping more for themselves. The once friendly atmosphere in their home grew tense as greed and selfishness took root in their hearts. As the days passed, the magic pot seemed to sense the change in the Adebayos. It no longer glowed with the same warmth. The food it produces began to lose its flavor. The family, now consumed by their own greed, failed to notice these subtle signs. One day, as Ayo was preparing to take a large portion of food to the market, the pot remained empty. He shook it, muttered a few words of frustration, but nothing happened. Mama, Papa, the pot isn't working, he called out in panic. The family gathered around, their faces etched with worry. Baba Adebayo tried to reassure them. Perhaps he just needs a rest, he suggested. Let's wait and see. But hours turned into days, and the pot remained stumbly empty. The villagers, noticing the change, began to whisper amongst themselves. Some said the gods were displeased with the Adebayo's greed, while others believed the magic had simply run out. Desperate, the family tried everything they could think of to cause the pot into producing food again. They cleaned it, prayed over it, and even offered sacrifices, but to no avail. The magic pot had fallen silent, and to their once abundant meal were now a distant memory. The magic pot had fallen silent, and their once abundant meal were now a distant memory. Hunger soon returned to the Adebayo household. Without the magic pot to sustain them, they were forced to return to their old ways of scribbling and saving, often going to bed with empty stomachs. The villagers, feeling betrayed by the family's sudden change in behavior, distanced themselves from the Adebayo. One night, as they sat in their darkened home, the reality of their situation began to sink in. We have lost everything, Mama Adebayo said. Her voice choked with tears, and it's our own fault. Baba Adebayo nodded solemnly. We allowed greed to take hold of us, and now we are paying the price. Ayo, Folake, and Tude, who had been listening silently, realized the truth in their parents' words. They had forgotten the value of kindness and generosity that had once defined their family. The magic pot had been a gift, but they have been squandered. They have humbled and chastened. The Adebayos decided to make amends. They knew they could never regain the magic of the pot, but they could try to restore their relationship with their neighbors and each other. The family began to volunteer in the community, helping those in need and sharing what little they had. Baba Adebayo returned to the field, working harder than ever to provide for his family. Mama Adebayo started a small garden, growing vegetables to supplement their meager meals. Ayo, Folake, and Tude helped out in any way they could, learning the value of hard work and selflessness. Slowly but surely, the villagers began to warm up to the Adebayos once again. They saw the family's genuine effort to make amends and recognized their sincerity. Though the magic pot was gone, the Adebayos found that their lives were still filled with blessings, the warmth of the community, the strength of the family, and the satisfaction of knowing they were doing the right thing. One evening, as they sat down to a simple meal, Baba Adebayo looked around at his family and smiled. We may not have the magic pot anymore, but we have something far more valuable, each other. Mama Adebayo nodded, tears of gratitude in her eyes. And we have learned a powerful lesson. True wealth is not measured by what we have, but by how we treat each other. Ayo, Folake, and Tunde agreed, their heart full of newfound wisdom. The Adebayo had lost their way for a time, but they have found it again through humility and repentance. They knew that life would always have its challenges, but they were ready to face them together, with love and compassion guiding their paths. And so the family lived on, not with the magic of an enchanted pot, but with the enduring magic of kindness and the strength of a united family. The lesson they learned stayed with them forever, reminding them that the greatest magic of all comes from within. Thank you for watching.